Okay, thank you so much, Abhishek ji. Thank you so much for coming on my show, the talk show, which is
My
Extreme
pleasure.
Gratitude. Yes.
My pleasure.
Yes, and first of all, thank you for taking out time. I know your schedule is very busy. I can understand,
Yeah,
and
it gets busy. We have to take
uh,
out time
y-
somehow.
या हम जब भी ट्रैवल करते हैं फ्लाइट में तो वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि आपका शेड्यूल कैसा हो सकता है यहाँ से यहाँ वहाँ से वहाँ सो बट या आई रियली थैंक यू फॉर दैट सो यस कैसे
I
आप बताइए
know that's all good. How are you?
आई एम गुड थैंक यू अभिषेक जी Okay, Abhishek ji, since just want to start with the very basic thing, कि how did you get into this aviation industry and जैसे हमारे ऑफलाइन पे एक बार बात हुई थी मैंने बोला था कि पायलट बनना हर एक लड़के का ड्रीम होता है छोटे होते हैं तब but I
Yeah.
think in your case it is really true so just wanted to understand like how was your childhood and how did you get into this.
Yeah. So this was my childhood dream.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Ever since I came in my senses, it was my one and only dream to become a pilot.
Okay,
So
okay.
I still remember, like I was a small kid, maybe I was 8 or 9 years old. I was playing on my terrace of my house.
Mhm.
So first time I saw the Sahara aircraft. That time Sahara Airlines was
हाँ,
there.
हाँ, हाँ,
Back in I think 2007 or 8, I believe.
हाँ, हाँ,
So I observed the Sahara aircraft flying over past my house. So I
हुँ,
was very keen to know like who
हुँ,
flies the machine. So I asked my father about it. And then
हुँ,
I got the answer that the pilots are there who flies the aircraft. So uh, it seemed very fascinating about the who's
हुँ,
flying that big machine. And I was very small. I didn't know what all is involved in that.
हुँ,
So from
हुँ,
then onwards, I started chasing my dream to become a pilot.
हुँ, ओके,
So
ओके,
yes, like other kids, it was my childhood dream to become a pilot, and I feel
हुँ,
really lucky that my parents supported me in this.
right. Yeah, of course. And if you could talk about Abhishek ji, about your recent achievement, I think you got promoted or you'll be now studying for that, right? From
Yeah, so
yeah.
I'm a first officer right now. So
Mm-hmm,
in layman terms, you can say a co-pilot. There's two
mm-hmm,
people inside the cockpit, a captain
mm-hmm,
and pilot, and the main pilot and the co-pilot.
mm-hmm,
So I'm a co-pilot right now,
mm-hmm.
a first officer. So I gave exam to clear my this captain exam to become the main senior pilot.
Okay,
I
okay.
cleared that the written this is written the interview exam. So I cleared those rounds,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and now I will begin my training from next month for that.
ओके ओके और वो कितने टाइम ड्यूरेशन का होगा ट्रेनिंग
It takes approximately maximum it takes 6 months, 5 to 6
अच्छा
months.
एंड
It's
हाउ
a
इट
long.
इज डिफरेंट लाइक मतलब देयर विल बी सम ऑफ कोर्स सम प्रैक्टिकल्स एंड
Yeah,
एवरीथिंग
of
राइट
course. So, basically, there'll be some competency related that development courses
हम्म
related to leadership and
हम्म
decision making and all.
राइट
So these things are there. Then we'll have some training regarding the simulator, which we have. So as a
हम्म
captain, you need to decide many more things. So PIC, which you say pilot in command.
ओके हम्म
Yeah. So
हम्म
for that, we'll be trained in these 6 months. So there are some different courses, some syllabus are there.
ओके
And of course, apart from the simulator, we also are flying on the actual aircrafts in the
हम्म
commercial flying only. So it
ओके
will be part
ओके
complete 6 months.
आई थिंक the most challenge would be to have your to have your first flight as a main pilot, right? I mean that day
Yeah,
would
yeah, of
be
course. It's always the first time for everything.
first time for everything. Yes,
I'll
correct.
be nervous. Even I might be nervous a little bit, but of course, back in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, I feel like I have achieved this with my hard work, and then I'll keep
Of
my,
course.
of course, my
Yes.
uh, keep my abilities up for this,
Of course. Yes.
which I
Uh,
will.
uh, uh, yeah. No, I'm sure you will crack that and you will be a best pilot. Yes. Yes, Abhishek ji. Okay. Now, asking about some questions related to your work and all. Uh, ऑफ कोर्स जिन्होंने फ्लाइट में ट्रैवल किया होगा उन्होंने देखा ही होगा कि लाइक हाउ मच यू हैव टू ट्रैवल लाइक एज अ पायलट क्योंकि announcement होता है कि okay now this flight will go from Mumbai to Chennai and then all these things. So
Yeah.
how stressful is your work? You know, uh,
Uh,
mhm,
yeah, of course. Being a pilot, it's being one of the most stressful jobs in the world.
mhm,
So as you can see, we are flying one of the most complex, fast machine and this such dynamic environment, which is
mhm,
in itself is very challenging.
mhm,
Uh, because carrying precious lives along with us in air brings a lot of responsibility on our
mhm,
shoulders.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm, mhm.
makes it even more challenging. So yeah, it is a stressful job, and
Is it more of a like a physical stress or a mental?
it's more of a mental stress because
Okay.
it will feel like you're sitting in the cockpit and in such air conditioning, but it's not like that. Back in the mind, you have a lot of processing going on regarding the flight
Hmm.
because be ahead of the aircraft, you have to cope up with the machine with such speed. You have to take really fast decisions in case something goes wrong.
Hmm.
So
Right. I
you have
think
to be focused.
decision making is the main thing that is,
Yes,
considered,
yes.
right? I mean,
And it
in
all
air.
depends on everything, all the factors coming up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Based on that, we have been trained, and sometimes
Mhm,
things come up like you have to take decisions which you have not been trained for, suppose. So
mhm,
that time your ability will take come into
mm,
place of
mm,
making
mm, mm, mm,
on the
mm,
scenario what is happening.
right, 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 right. And in a day, how many, destinations usually you have to
Uh,
travel?
so total, we have 4 flights in a day.
Okay.
That's the
Mhm,
maximum we can fly in a day because of that
mm,
regulation limitation.
okay. And
Like
irrespective of the
we,
distance, is it?
no, it's based on flight hours
Flight hours. Okay. Hmm.
and duty time. So duty time starts when we report to the office,
Okay.
and it ends once we land and once we park the aircraft.
Hmm.
From there, and there's some 30 minutes of leverage which gets added in that. So based on that, roughly it's 12 hours, you can say.
Okay.
So
Okay. So your each day is of 12 hours, is it?
maximum it can be for 12
Maximum
hours.
time. Okay. Okay.
Sometimes we only have 1 flight, sometimes we have 2 or 3 flights. So maximum we have 4.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we get a roster for this schedule for a month.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Based on that, we can then plan our personal life based on that, which day we
Mm-hmm.
free. So it's
Right.
not like other office jobs like we for us weekends are off. So
Mm-hmm.
off can be any day for us. Can be a Thursday or like next week can be a Tuesday. So it
Mm.
completely varies.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay. And I was, you also must have watched, Runway 34 or, Hollywood movies like Sully, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that was more dramatic, right? But I mean, have you experienced such thing in real life or, that kind of situation?
No, touch wood, I haven't seen any such, you can
Right,
say,
right, right.
it was a good luck for me, you can say, but nobody wished for such
Mm,
incident to
mm,
happen in their life, of course. But
right.
since we already being trained every 6 months with the failures, because day
Mm-hmm,
to day in normal flying, uh, you do not, or you can say, you're not encountering such major failures every day in
mm-hmm,
life. So
mm-hmm.
to pilot doesn't lose that touch, so we have that 6 months of training. Every 6 months we go to the simulator.
Okay.
We have been trained for such possible failures, all the possible failures which
Acha.
you can get right. So
Okay.
based on that, then we can react as per the procedures which
Hmm.
have been taught.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And Abhishek ji, how are you? What are your strengths and how are you different from other pilots? Uh,
So everyone is different, of course. You cannot compare someone to another.
I know, but yeah.
Yeah. But talking about myself, my strength as a pilot, I can say are my multitasking skills,
Acha.
which I've developed over the last maybe 6 years or
Mm-hmm.
maybe more since I joined this
Mm-hmm.
aviation industry. And my
Mm-hmm.
decision making, my control over the aircraft. So
Mm-hmm.
as you play more and more, you gain more experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to handle the aircraft more. You understand the systems, and you gain more knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
likewise, it
Mm-hmm.
improves.
But when you say
Full
multitasking,
skill.
I mean, like what kind of different tasks that you do? I mean.
suppose you're flying the aircraft, then you have to
Mm-hmm.
also monitor the RT, the radio telephony, the ATC, which
Mm-hmm.
they suppose they give us some instructions. Then
Mm-hmm.
apart from flying, you have to also monitor the engine parameters. So
Mm-hmm.
everything, the
Okay.
speed, the winds. So there are multiple things which are involved. So
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
we just need to scan by monitoring. I mean, you have to scan the instruments which are showing you. So sometimes we watch the speed, then we look for winds, then your
mm,
pitch, like the time you're rotating you're pulling the aircraft for takeoff, suppose.
mm,
So which you're going up. If you go
right.
too far, might stall the aircraft. So all that things you have to look.
Mm-hmm. And जब आप as a co-pilot अभी हो, now you'll be a the main pilot. So आपके roles and responsibilities कैसे divide होते हैं, मतलब आप क्या करते थे, और like, और जो main pilot है वो क्या करते थे, so वो कैसे divide होता है?
Whenever we go for flight,
हम्म.
there's uh, we divide in two jobs basically. So suppose I'm doing 4 flights for a day.
Okay.
Then we decide who will fly which sector. Suppose normally we divide two to each. So suppose I am flying for the 2 flights, irrespective
Okay.
of who the pilot or co-pilot. That doesn't
अच्छा.
come into play. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I decide I am flying, so then another pilot who will be my pilot monitoring, you can say the term which is there.
हम्म.
So that person will monitor my parameters, the flight parameters, how am I flying the aircraft. Then he or she will also talk to the air traffic control for the instructions for the flight and
हम्म.
other duties such as putting the landing gears up or down and then taking flaps. Or there are many more different.
अच्छा. अच्छा. ओके. ओके. हाँ, मतलब दो फ्लाइट में यू आर मेजर एंड अदर टू दूसरे वाले वो मेजर होता है.
डिवाइड हो जाती है सो
हाँ.
दो वैसे आप समझ लो कि दो टेक ऑफ लैंडिंग मैंने किया सो नेक्स्ट टू द पायलट विल डू
ओके.
उसमें डिवाइड
और काइंड ऑफ मेजर द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज लाइक रिव्यू करते हैं वो साथ में वाला बंदा, राइट?
yes,
ये
yes. So
सो.
every flight we discuss the threats which are there.
हम्म.
So for example you are taking off from Guwahati suppose or you are landing
हम्म.
into Guwahati.
ओके.
Then we discuss the threats which are there for this flight
अच्छा.
which might affect the safety or which you have to take it more as a concern for that flight. So there's
हम्म.
a terrain around the Guwahati if you are
हम्म.
aware.
हम्म.
So we discuss regarding the terrain that we have terrain around. So how will you mitigate that threat?
ओके.
So we discuss will in case of daytime, of course, the terrain will be the obstacle will be in it will be visual basically,
हम्म.
so you can see. But in night suppose and in low visibility conditions, then we have instruments which show us the elevation of the terrain, where is
हम्म.
it in respect to our aircraft. So that way,
हम्म.
we have some procedures given for that in case we get some call outs regarding
हम्म.
terrain. So we have some
ओके. ओके.
procedures which we follow.
हम्म. And what are some major decisions that you have to take, like before it, you take off, during the flight, and when you are landing. So
Yeah,
I
basically,
would love to know more about, the decision making process, and how do you decide that, okay, now we have to, take off, or is it somewhere written, or someone from ETC tells you that, okay,
yeah.
now.
So it's all procedure wise, like so you can say, like
Hmm.
I'll tell you completely, like from the start.
Sure, sure, please, yes,
Right,
yes.
yeah, we report to the office,
Mm-hmm.
dispatch, which we call this,
Okay.
and we do a breath analyzer test.
Mm-hmm.
So which is like you're not intoxicated,
Mm-hmm.
fit to fly because you're carrying all the lives. You have responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Once we clear that, then we check the flight documents.
Mm-hmm.
We look for the flight plan, the details of the flight it's given, which
Mm-hmm.
altitude will be climbing to, what speed will be there, and what will the weather conditions, of course, at the departure airport, then en route, then destination, and also we have an alternate airport. Suppose if you're going to some airfield and the weather deteriorates or it's not due some reason you're not able to land there, so then you have to divert to some other airport. So that alternate airport or the diversion airport is always part of your flight plan. So
Mm-hmm.
we check that weather as well. So at
Mm-hmm.
that time, the weather will be fine or not. Then In case if weather is not good, then we'll change the alternate.
Mhm.
Based on these factors, then we decide to take extra fuel also if
Mhm.
it's and yeah, and sometimes we have delays also. If you are aware that
Mhm.
fog, bad weather conditions, we have some expected conditions, delays.
Right.
So we take those factors also for
Mhm.
these protecting the fuel. And yeah, so after these things, we just go to the aircraft. Then we prepare the aircraft based on our procedures. We
Mhm.
get the data in the computer, and then it shows us on the screen.
Mhm.
And then yeah, so as I told you, there's one person who flies the aircraft and the one who communicates. The
Mhm.
person will communicate that for that flight for that sector, then he or she will talk to the ATC
Mhm.
regarding our clearance for the flight from so
Mhm.
and so destination, and then he'll clear us, give us some level initially, and then
Mhm.
there are different controllers. So someone who's handling the ground, so they'll only give us pushback, then taxi towards the runway,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
they'll change this to the tower frequency. So the tower, they only look for the takeoff and landings for the runway.
Mhm.
And then, once you take off, then you get changed over to radar. The radar people, they only monitor you on that screen.
Mhm.
So based on that, they see where you are, your location. Then they keep separation from other traffic, and then
Mhm.
you go from some place to other place. Then they give change over to that particular controller radar.
Okay. Okay.
So that way it happens.
So you are connected with ATC only at while takeoff and while landing.
While throughout the flight,
Throughout the flight, you are all the time you are
yes,
connected to ATC to the ATC of what? The source.
of that particular place. So suppose I'm going from let's say Delhi to Bombay.
Okay.
So on Delhi, it's Delhi ground. Then once you reach the runway, approach the
Uh-huh.
runway, then they'll change us to Delhi Tower.
Uh,
Then likewise, once you depart, it'll give us Delhi radar departure.
mm-hmm.
Then route some other controllers there. So in
Okay.
between, if you are crossing that Ahmedabad airspace, so they'll change us to Ahmedabad radar. So everyone has their zone defined. So once you are approaching that area and then entering it, then
Uh-huh.
you'll get changed over to them, and then later on they'll change over to other people.
अच्छा, okay.
That
मतलब you
particular,
you you मतलब you talk to multiple people throughout your flight. I
yes,
mean, अच्छा, at
and
the
there are
ground.
frequencies. Basically, there are frequencies, different frequencies which are there
अच्छा, अच्छा.
into a particular radar,
Uh-huh.
and there. So basically, during the changeover time, the ADC will give us that frequency. So we'll
अच्छा.
say change over this frequency, you can contact them for further your instructions.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay.
And
मतलब
sometimes,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Yes, good, 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 good,
So
good.
sometimes suppose you are cruising at 36,000 feet
Uh-huh.
and Delhi changes to Ahmedabad radar, suppose when you're going Delhi Bombay,
Okay.
and use some crossing traffic on other traffic who's there. So ATC might give us climb or descent based on to keep the separation
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
between the flights. And talking about the separation, at least 1,000 feet separation might is all required between the flights. 1,000 feet.
Separation as in between two
Vertical,
aircraft.
vertical
अच्छा.
separation.
हाँ हाँ
Yes.
हाँ हाँ. ओके ओके अच्छा मतलब बेटे ऐसा कभी भी नहीं होता कि आप एज अ पायलट यू विल बी like out from communication with any ATC. Yes, ऐसा.
There are places like when you're going, especially oceanic routes,
हाँ हाँ.
that time the VHF, which we say very high frequency, that range,
हम्म हम्म
video communication is not there, then we revert to the lower frequencies, the HF high frequency.
हम्म.
The high frequency range is more, but it also has its limitations. So if you're off like in that no coverage zone, then you
हम्म.
just follow your flight route,
ओके
which
ओके.
you define. And in case there's some failures or some reason,
हम्म
then there are some defined procedures also for that. What
हम्म
and which and depending on countries, there's some standard procedures throughout the
हम्म.
world, and there are some different procedures with different countries also. So we
अच्छा.
have a map even in that. Nowadays, it's all you can say digitalized. It's a digital world. So we have
हम्म
an iPad instead
हम्म.
of old charts we have to refer.
अच्छा, अच्छा।
iPad we refer to that those documents. It's easy. It's quite
हाँ,
easy.
हाँ, 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 ओके।
Just open your iPad on the side. There's a holder mounting given
हाँ,
on the
हाँ,
side.
हम्म,
You just open the iPad, then go to that software.
हम्म,
We can see which country we are flying to or
हम्म,
visit area. Then we can check the rules what are given there.
अच्छा, ओके।
Everything is defined. So yeah.
दिस इज एक्साइटिंग, मतलब पहली बार सब
Nothing
सुन
like
रहा हूँ कि ये सब ऊपर क्या होता है।